Hello, hello. I am Coach Corey Sartori, and I am excited to share with you today my story, the beginning of my story, actually, babies and breast cancer. So, if you don't know me, I am a mindset and manifestation coach. I've been coaching since 2016, and I know that the work that I do is valuable because it has helped me to transform my life. And so today I'm going to share a little bit of that story. And then tomorrow I'll share part 2, and Wednesday I'll share part 3. So there's a lot around babies and breast cancer, my story. And so I wanted to break it into 3 parts. So today I'm going to share that first part. So many of you know that in the last 2 years, I've had struggles with breast cancer, with getting pregnant. And so today I'm going to share the beginning of that story with you. But first I'm going to go further back. So I am so passionate about mindset and manifestation because I 100% know it is why I have the life that I have today. So in 2013, I had just come out of a codependent toxic relationship and I wasn't happy. I didn't love myself. I didn't show up for myself. I was a total jerk and I just didn't know that. You know, I would meet a woman and she would be happy and she'd be joyful and she'd be living a life she loved. And I just thought it was complete bullshit because I didn't have that. And I didn't think it was something that was real. Because you don't know what you don't know. So in 2013, that's where I was at. I was stuck. I was unhappy. That summer I moved back to Salt Lake City from the Bay Area. And luckily I have such wonderful friends and they started to introduce me into self-development. I started reading books. I started a vision and goal practice, and then I fully dove in from there. Once I started to see results, I was like, this is it, I'm all in. And I really dove into self-development. The next year in 2014, I got my first yoga certification, and I just kept doing more work. I kept reading more podcasts, going to workshops. I mean, I was in, this transformational leadership program for a lot of 2015 and the beginning of 2016. So I was so committed to self-development. I absolutely loved it. And so by 2016, I just knew that I had to share this information with other people. I just knew that the knowledge I had gained, other women needed to heal. And I wanted to be that tool, that resource for them to help them heal. And so I got my life coaching certification and started coaching. I stayed working at a full-time gig from 2017 to 2021 and really, really loved it. So let me go back. So 2016 is when I started coaching. So in 2019, I had my first son. So my first son was born March of 2018. His name's Lincoln. He's the most beautiful child. I love him so much. And I'd gotten married in 2017. So, right, all that self-development helped me to get what I wanted because I always knew I wanted to be married. I always knew I wanted to have a family. And so I was able to use my positive mindset and my manifestation to attract the perfect partner for me. And my husband is my perfect partner. I was able to, we got married. We had this beautiful little boy, and I was continuing my coaching business. I was coaching part-time and just loved it. And in 2019, I decided I was going to do another yoga teacher training. I was going to do my 300-hour just for self-development, just for more growth. And I also at that time decided that I wanted to try for my second baby. I knew that I wanted to get off birth control by the end of that year so then I could get pregnant with my second baby. So 2019 comes, it's the summer, I get off my birth control because I knew it would take time to get out of my body. And then I started trying for my second baby. And so this is around 2020. We all know how 2020 went. It was a wild ride. And so I was trying for my second baby and nothing was happening. So I went to my doctor and she told me, well, we did all these things. And she's like, at the end of the day, you probably need to go see a fertility specialist because nothing's happening for you. I don't know what's wrong. I can't help you. And so it was probably September or October of 2020. Where I made an appointment to meet with a fertility doctor because I really, I wanted that second baby. I just knew that there was supposed to be another little person that was coming into our family. And so in 2020, I started meeting with my fertility doctor, and they, of course, give you all these medications. And I started taking those, and I would go back, right? You go back every like week or every month to see what's going on. And I just wasn't having any success. My body wasn't producing eggs. They didn't know what was going on. And so, by February, the doctors had decided that they were going to give me a combination of estrogen and progesterone to see if that would help me get pregnant. And so this is February of 2021. I'm finally at this point where I'm going to quit my full-time job, and I'm coaching full-time. So I quit my job, I think it was like February 12th of 2021. And I was so excited to finally be a full-time coach, right? Because I knew my passion and purpose was in coaching. It was helping other women transform their lives, because I knew the power of mindset and manifestation. And I will tell you, every day, I'm so grateful that I had done all of the work before 2021, because if I hadn't worked on my mindset, if I hadn't had full belief in manifestation, then my life would have been a lot harder that year. So February 2021, I quit my full-time job. And then the next weekend, my brother, who lives in Japan and had been stationed in Qatar for the last year, was magically going to be in Seattle. And so I booked a flight to go to Seattle to see my brother. Well, before I get on that flight, like that morning, I'm just feeling off. Like I'm feeling like something doesn't feel right. I don't know what's going on. And I'm just like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Even though I was like, gosh, I really should trust my intuition. So I went all the way to the airport, got on the plane, freaked out, and got off the plane like as they were pulling away from the gate. Like we were leaving the gate, and I like went up to the flight attendant. I was like, I have to get off this plane. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm freaking out. So they pull the plane back up. I get off the plane. Somehow in the midst of all this, I hurt my knee. Okay, so I hurt my knee, and I'm like limping. Anyways, the next day I decided I'm going to go to Seattle anyways, because this is my one opportunity to see my brother. I hadn't seen him in years because he lives in Japan and I live in Salt Lake City. And so I wanted to see him. I love my brother. So the next morning I get on a flight and I get to Seattle and I spend time with my brother. Well, while I'm there, right, my knee's already hurt from getting off the plane. Somehow I tweaked it. And then as the weekend goes on, my low back spasms and it hurts so bad. I get back from Seattle. Then it happens in my shoulder. Something's wrong. Then it goes all the way up to my neck. So I was like, oh my gosh, what is wrong? Why is my body failing me? I didn't know what was going on. Decided I was going to see a chiropractor to see if he could help me. About a week later, I'm in the shower and I find a lump in my breast. And so this is about a week after I stopped my estrogen and progesterone medication, and I find a lump and I'm like, ooh, uh-oh. And I remember telling my husband, he didn't give me the most supportive words. I told him, I was like, Jake, I found a lump in my breast. And he's like, well, you know, you're probably not going to do anything about it. And I was like, well, I need to do something about it. So I had a fertility appointment that Wednesday. I went in and told her that I had a lump in my breast and I wanted her to check it out. And so she did. And she immediately scheduled me a mammogram. So that next week I went in for a mammogram. And then I had to do a biopsy. I waited on my biopsy because my son was turning 3 years old. And so I wanted to be able to celebrate him and be present with him without having to go do all these things. So I waited a little bit to get my biopsy. And then after my biopsy, I remember being in that like space where they're getting me ready. And I said to the nurse, I'm like, it's fine. It's no big deal. Like, I'm going to be fine. And the nurse didn't say anything. And in that moment, I was like, oh shit, like this might be more than what I think it is. But I was still like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I'm fine. And then March 18th of 2021, so a week after my son turns 3 years old, I get a call. I have breast cancer. And I was like, what? I'm a life coach and I'm a yoga teacher and I take care of myself. And how is this happening to me, right? All those thoughts that go through your head, it's scary to get a diagnosis like that. And they didn't tell me what stage it was. Like, it was just, you have breast cancer. It was like, oh, and I didn't have another appointment for another week. So there was a week filled with trying to be in the present moment, trying not to freak out. But it was definitely overwhelming. So that's the beginning of 2021. So I find out March 18th that I have breast cancer. I wanted to still have a baby. There was just so much that was going on, right? The cancer that I had is estrogen positive. It was metastatic. So basically, that pieces of cancer could have broken off of my body and traveled through my bloodstream to other places. So they wanted me to do chemo. It was just a really big, overwhelming moment in my life to be diagnosed with something at 39 years old. And you never think it's going to happen to you. It didn't run in my family. Nobody has it in my family. I don't have I think I have one cousin who's had, stage 1. And so I just was like, I couldn't believe it. And it's funny because now I look back and my word of the year for 2021 was growth. I chose that word because I wanted growth in my family. I wanted to, have another baby. And I also wanted to grow my business because I had just quit my full-time job and I was ready to grow my business. So my word for 2021 was growth. And I will tell you that I had so much growth that year, not in the way that I wanted, but I definitely grew a ton and it absolutely was transformational. So like I shared with you, I'm going to do this story in 3 parts. So that's story 1. So that was me finding out that I had breast cancer. It was really hard. Like I said, Lincoln had just turned 3 years old. I had, a toddler at home. My husband was freaking out that his wife had cancer, and it was just a ton to deal with. But I have to tell you that I am so incredibly grateful that I have chosen to do the mindset work, because I think that's what helped me. Because even the day that I got that call, my husband was overwhelmed and I was overwhelmed, but I was able to still be in the present moment. And I took my son to the Butterfly Museum here and I was able to be with him. And in my mind, I always just had this feeling like it's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And that's the thought and the belief that helped me get through all of the other things that I'm going to share with you tomorrow. But my mindset is what saved me from the fear, from the overwhelm, from the heartbreak of being diagnosed with breast cancer. So that's part 1 of my story. And I'm going to dive into part 2 tomorrow. We're going to talk about cancer treatments, fertility treatments, and lots of different things. So stay tuned for part 2 of my story. I'm excited to share with you what that looked like, and then I'll share part 3 on Wednesday. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being you. I'm excited to get to know each of you better, and I hope by me sharing my story, you get to know me a little bit better. So I will see you tomorrow. Have an awesome day, and thank you for being you.